welcome to Brain Eaters. Each week we talk about a different story that'll eat your brain. This week we're talking about Toxoplasmosis. I'm Mary Lords.
And I'm Halle Kiefer.
And this is Mochi.
And if we didn't have Toxoplasmosis before, we do now.
Yes, because we're handling a cat. And cats are most likely to have this parasite. What happens is when a cat eats infected meat, we've talked about brain parasites before, it'll pass the parasite through its feces, and then humans who come in contact with that feces will get the parasite. And mostly what happens if you have a compromised immune system, you will get a fever, you'll get ill, sort of like flu-like symptoms, and then in a month it'll go away. But the reason we're talking about it is because they found more evidence about latent infections and what it can do to you on a low level without you even noticing.
So basically they're finding that Toxoplasmosis is associated with risky behavior in humans. And so the idea is basically, could a parasite change the way that we behave? And the answer is, yeah, totally. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. If you don't believe me, another example is rabies. Rabies is a parasite that infects dogs. It causes them to foam at the mouth because the parasite lives in there. When they bite someone, they cause a wound, and that saliva gets into that wound, and they move on to another host. So that is one example that you know of a parasite controlling your brain, is they think that this is another one.
Right, so the idea is basically, what does that mean? So what they basically think is that it could possibly be linked to car accidents, suicides, and possibly could trigger schizophrenia, which makes sense because, like, at the end of the day, like, we're just, like, meat bodies. Like, we think that we're impervious to the outside world. We like to have this idea that we're just, like, monkeys with robot brains that, like, aren't really affected by these things. But the reality is we're just mammals. Like, we have no idea what we're interacting with the world. And I guess the question is, are cats giving us this parasite?
Yeah.
And if so, what other parasites do we have? And are those parasites controlling our behavior?
Yeah. I thought about it when I was reading about it. They said that one of the other things that can happen is rodents who are infected their risky behavior is not being scared of cats. They usually like when they smell a cat's urine or they smell a cat nearby, they'll run. And
which is what I do too. If I smell cat urine, I'm out.
They don't, and the reason is because the parasite, the cat will eat that infected rodent and then have that parasite. So the rodent's brain is being told to get near that cat.
Right.
That's terrifying.
And it makes sense because, like, as a parasite, what an ingenious way to, like, propagate yourself. Like, that makes total sense. If you knew that you only like that cat because you were infected with a parasite, would you be okay with that? Or would it somehow, you would feel terrible about not purely loving your cat?
If that was the only thing, that's weird, because then it's like, do I have free will? Am I in control of my emotions? Or
Right. Now, let's assume that, no, you are not. But then it's like, I guess, like, if you found out that a parasite made you love your parents, if you found out a parasite made you love your boyfriend, it would make you sad.
It would. But if that's the only side effect, that's a pretty great side effect. To love things.
To just feel love. And this thing is, like, as a human, it's like, you know, like, to just love a little tiny animal.
Yeah.
That's fine. To me, the schizophrenia thing makes sense because, you know what I mean? Schizophrenia, if it's triggered by something, it's a brain disorder.
Yeah.
It could very well be triggered by something like that.
Yeah, if it's not...
Which sucks! That sucks so bad!
Maybe it's some other parasite we don't know about.
Yeah, you're right. Or you just might have it. This thing is like, they would have to do... I hope this guy, this scientist, I hope he does that. But then it's like, okay, well, if it turns out that that's true, what are we going to not have cats anymore?
Oh, never.
Have you been on the internet? People are not going to give up their cats, even if it is causing us to... have terrible decisions and have very risky behavior. It's not going to happen.
But we're not going to get rid of cats because the parasite will control our brain and we won't be able to.
Exactly. It's already too late.
It's too late.
It's already too late for us. That's fine.
What do you think's going to eat at your brain this week?
Oh boy. I guess the idea that at the end of the day we're just animals and at any point in time our bodies might convince. It's the same thing with like mental disorders or like other illnesses where it's like, yeah, we're just susceptible. And you suddenly might find yourself acting totally differently, feeling totally differently, and only later you find out it's something like this.
Yeah. I feel
That's terrifying. That's terrifying to me.
I feel the same way. It's like how much of what I decide to do is my decision and how much of it is chemicals, a combination of chemicals, parasites, what have you.
Yeah.
You'll never know.
We'll never know.
And is that okay?
It has to be because it's just the way it is.
That's just how it is.
I want to be comfortable with parasites because I just want to be comfortable with the way things are.
Yeah.
And cats are cute.
And also, cats! If you have anything that's eating your brain, please leave a comment below. Otherwise, we'll see you next week on Brain Eaters.
Bye, guys.